You ever been at a concert or a protest, maybe even just a big sports game, and you feel different? You feel swept up in it, like you're part of something much, much bigger than just yourself. Well, there's a really powerful and honestly, sometimes kind of scary psychology at play when we gather in large groups. So, what is actually going on inside our heads when we become one of many? Let's dive in and figure it out. And this is the big question, right? This is what has fascinated psychologists for more than 100 years. How can a group of perfectly normal, rational people suddenly start acting in ways that are, well, completely out of character, ways they would never act on their own? It really is a riddle. And like any good riddle, the first thing we have to do is understand the pieces. So before we go any further, what exactly is a crowd from a psychological point of view? Okay, a couple of words in there are super important: temporary and unorganized. We're not talking about your work team or a club. A crowd is something that forms, it does its thing, and then it just dissolves. And it's in that temporary, messy, unorganized space where our minds can start to do some very strange things. So, the first major theory that tried to explain this whole phenomenon is a really powerful, almost kind of chilling idea. It's called the theory of the group mind. And it suggests that when we join a crowd, we're not just joining a physical group, we're plugging into a whole new kind of mind. This quote right here from Gustave Le Bon, who is a real pioneer in this stuff, this is the absolute core of the theory. He believed that a brand new collective mind literally forms, and our own individual personality, our own thoughts, they just get swallowed up by it. And here's the crucial part. According to Le Bon, this group mind isn't some higher, smarter consciousness. Oh no. It strips away your rational, thoughtful, conscious personality and instead unleashes the raw, primal, unconscious part of you. It's a pretty startling idea. So how did he think this crazy transformation actually happens? Le Bon broke it down into 3 steps. First up, anonymity. When you're just one face in a sea of thousands, you feel invisible. That sense of personal responsibility, it just melts away. Second, there's contagion. An emotion, whether it's rage or joy, can spread through a crowd like a wildfire. And third, suggestibility. The critical thinking part of your brain just kind of shuts down. You become incredibly open to the ideas and commands of the group, almost like you're in a trance. And he wasn't alone. Another thinker, William McDougall, he built on this idea. He argued that the group mind essentially makes everybody dumber. As these really basic, primitive emotions take over, all that complex, rational thought just goes right out the window. So, okay, let's follow this train of thought. If Le Bon and McDougall are right, what's the end game here? What happens to a person when their conscious mind is silenced and their unconscious is just unleashed? Well, it's a total reboot of your personality. Your individuality? Gone. Your personal self-control vanishes. Freud would say your superego, that little voice in your head that acts like your moral compass, it gets completely silenced. This allows all those repressed urges to come bubbling to the surface. In short, you become all emotion and very little reason. It's a pretty dark picture, right? It suggests we're all just one crowd away from our worst selves. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the crowd isn't the cause at all, but just the venue? This leads us to a totally different theory, one that turns that whole group mind idea on its head. It's called convergence theory, and it offers a much more straightforward and maybe even more unsettling explanation. I mean, really think about this question. Does a crowd somehow magically create a dangerous new impulse inside of good people? Or does it just gather up a bunch of people who already had that impulse to begin with? That is the core question that convergence theory asks. See, in this view, the crowd is just a collection of like-minded people. Birds of a feather flock together. The behavior we see isn't some mystical transformation. It's just the predictable result when a bunch of people who already wanted to act a certain way finally find each other in the same place at the same time. It's not a change of mind, it's a meeting of minds. So let's put these two head to head, because this is where it gets really interesting. On one side, you have group mind theory. It says the crowd creates the impulse and it transforms the individual. But on the other side, convergence theory says, nope, the individuals bring the impulse with them, and their behavior is actually a pretty rational expression of what they already believe. It's a huge difference. One theory blames the catalyst, the other blames the ingredients. So we have these two competing ideas.
One points the finger at the mysterious power of the group, and the other puts all the responsibility right back on the people in it. You might be thinking, okay, this is some century-old psychology. Why should I care about this today?
Because the real answer probably isn't one or the other. It's most likely a powerful combination of both. Think about it. A specific event, like a protest, might attract people who already feel strongly about an issue. That's convergence. But once they're all together, those group dynamics we talked about, the anonymity, the contagion, they can kick in and amplify those feelings to a level they would never reach on their own. And that's the group mind at work.
And this brings us right back to you and the final, most important point. Understanding these forces isn't just for a textbook. It's about being aware of how easily our own sense of self, our own thoughts can be influenced. So the next time you feel that pull, that electric energy of the crowd, just pause for a second and ask yourself this question. Are you really thinking for yourself, or is the group thinking for you? The answer might just surprise you.